Hi, I'm Jake. I'm the creator of the Sedgewick Hotel, a fan-made Ghostbusters themed interactive dark ride. And I'm introducing you to this project today. I want to walk you through essentially what I've done so far, and hopefully I'll be able to start making these videos moving forward to kind of let everyone follow along at home in terms of how my project is going. So I've been working on this project for 3 years off and on. The first 2 years were pretty busy, consistent work, lots of trial and error. The last year I kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit. I have a family and 3 kids and a house and a job, and it's been hard to find the time, honestly. But I've committed to trying to get this thing done by October of 2018. And I think this would be a good way to let everyone that's interested in the project follow along at home. So, where am I today? I have a theme, Ghostbusters. As you can tell by my office here, I am a Ghostbusters fanatic, and I have been for most of my life. And I figured, you know what, let's combine 3 things that I love most, that being Ghostbusters, dark rides, and haunted houses. When I was a kid, even as a teenager, I made haunted houses in my parents' barn and had all kinds of people come, and I've really enjoyed that quite a bit. And I figure I want to combine everything I've learned with home haunting with Ghostbusters and dark rides and do one in my garage. So several other people have done these before, these homemade dark rides. No one that I know of has done an interactive dark ride where you actually shoot targets while on a ride. So I might be the first do-it-yourselfer to produce something like that. And if not, that's no big deal. I'm not trying to win a contest, but either way, it's a fun project. So what I'll do is I'll walk you through everything I've done to date. Like I said, it's about 2 years worth of work off and on, spread across 3 years. So let's start there. So I need to start off by giving a lot of credit to Don O'Neill, who was the first person I found who did a dark ride that I thought that I could, follow in his footsteps. He wasn't the first to do a homemade dark ride, but he was the first that I found that chronicled it pretty well online. And I kind of followed his footsteps and his guidance considerably throughout this project. So these early sketches I did just kind of were a little bit of a proof of concept for me. Started by kind of designing the car, kind of thought what I wanted it to look like, obviously reminiscent of the Ecto-1. The load unload area would be like the fire hall in the movie. There were some scenes in here. It was called the Hauntington Hotel originally, but we switched the name over to Sedgewick. The idea of an elevator opening up and having a ghost. You have, a sample layout that I put together early on that kind of has a bunch of different scenes in it. The car, as I designed it early on, prototyped it out with foam board just to make sure that I had the scale and spacing right before I switched over to furniture grade plywood. Built it all out in high quality materials. Didn't want this thing to be cheap. Put it up on a frame with some big wheels. Realized the wheels were too big and didn't give a turning radius. So I had to switch over to smaller casters, mounted those motors on this kind of like test rig to make sure I had the placement right. Used that test rig to hook it up to a PWM to kind of show how I could control the speed across this test track I made, which is laminated sheets of plywood glued together over a form. This was my first prototype test track, and I hooked it up all to a RC remote control, which kind of shows how you can send this sample rig across this test track. So at this point, this took me maybe 6 months to get from start to this point. Kind of went through a bunch of maturity. So you started with version 1, version 2, where I added the RC controller, version 3, where I stepped up to Arduino, and then version 4, which is semi close to what I have now, but we'll get into that in a different video. Metal frame. I upgraded the wheels to a rubber wheel at 1.2. Painted the car You know, had a vinyl leather seat to kind of bring some red pop into it. You know, this is kind of the early definition of the car, you know, going across this test track in my garage just to prove that the weight wasn't too much for it to bear. Lots of riding in circles, obviously, with a big smile on my face, showing how the motors come up into the under seat area, the dashboard, which will have some buttons and stuff on it, and mounted controls, a peek in kind of the finished car. Try to pay extra attention to kind of the little things like the license plate and the blue tube, and there's LED blue flashing lights mounted underneath it, which you'll see here in this video. So actually you won't see them here, but either way, the early Adreno, the control panel enclosure, early sketch, early layout of buttons, again, furniture grade materials to, you know, make this as nice as possible. So, you know, the project has progressed and come along pretty nicely. All right, so that does it for episode 1. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this enjoyable in some capacity. And I really enjoy this project, and I know that there's some people out there in the world who are interested in it, so I'd like to share this with you and for whoever's interested. If you have questions about the project, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. I could probably go on and on about a lot of the topics that I just breezed through today. Like I said, it's a couple years worth of work summarized in just a few minutes. So like I said, I'll continue making these videos and focus them on the different progress milestones I make from now until the project is done, hopefully, like I said, in October of 2018. So if you haven't done so already, feel free to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. And thanks for watching.
Well, that wasn't such a chore now, was it?